Blessings, Sister Classy, Sammy, Your Highness. God bless you, Come Too Far, JD, Your Highness. Nice tops. God bless you. Sister Classy, Sister Rattler, God bless you, my sister. Hey, Prophetess Amy. Yeah. Thank
Sorry,
you.
guys.
Wow, you did. Okay, I'm going to have to check it out. Definitely going to have to check it out. Apostle, be well. Can you get it? I can't see my head. Let me see. My wife's trying to. Let me see. Can I gotta be good. It's going down. Love the shirts. Thank y'all. Thank you all. There. I can't see. Blessings, Prophet. Miss Tony, God bless everybody. God bless everybody. God bless everybody. Well, you see who I have in the building. MIA, the woman of the hour, my beautiful wife. So,
hi, guys.
Tonight, we just came from church. Blessings, Sister Tony. Is that Sister Jonette? It is. Your heads are cut off. I know. I'm trying
to. Are we really?
I'm wondering if we can do it like this. Let's see. Y'all got to work with us on this. Just trying to. Is that? I can't do that. Let's see. I'm trying to do too much. Let me see it right here. Is that better? Yeah. That's better. Much better? Okay. Well, we can improvise now. All right. Was about to go to sleep, but saw you both on and had to say hi. Hey, Jonette.
Hello.
So, the topic of tonight is marriage conversations. Well, I like my wife to really start off with this.
No. This was his idea, guys. He wanted to come on here to have marriage conversations, so I'm going to let him lead the way, and I will chime in where necessary. How is everybody doing?
I have a laugh aloud. Sasha, don't start now. It's too early for that. Thank you, Sister Jonette. This was his husband's idea. So it was
his husband's idea.
So I thought I was surprised with the shirt, But I wanted to ask my wife this. She didn't even know this is going to be a personal interview.
Oh, Lord Jesus, now, have mercy. Help me, Jesus.
Yes, Jesus, help her, Lord. Help her, Lord. Help her, Lord.
What is this about? Are you playing Jeopardy?
Yes. When you first got married to Bryant, you tried to put her out there, and it was your idea. So, when you first married me, were you in love with me? Did you marry me for love?
Well, why else did I marry you? I mean, let's see. You were, yeah. Yes, I was in love, Bryant. I'm still in love.
What attracted you to me?
Oh, Jesus. Your presence, even though you were, at the time, you were in the world and doing a lot of very crazy things. You had an anointing that was underlying, that I could see, that I could sense in your presence. Something about you that drew me. There was a soul connection. Something that I just couldn't let go of despite everything that we went through. You were the only person that I could go through all of those things with and still look at you as somebody I could adore and cherish despite foolishness.
The foolishness, okay. Foolery. The foolery. All right, so what was your relationship like when you first started dating with God?
Well, I've always had a relationship with God. When we first started dating, when we first started dating, though, I would say I didn't know how to hear from the Lord at that time. That's one thing I definitely didn't know, if I was hearing from the Lord or if it was my own conscience. And I now clearly know when I'm hearing from the Lord. So that would be a big differential between then and now.
A big difference. When did you start? Wow, was it meant for you both to get on here about this topic is needed thing? Yeah. So Sasha, I guess we're gonna let the Lord just use us on this. It wasn't nothing actually just playing spur of the moment. How did you realize that you started hearing from the Lord? Was it because of the man you was dating at the time, which is myself, or just with your relationship with the Lord? What changed it to the point where you began to hear from the Lord?
The situation. Well, firstly, I asked the Lord to allow me to hear from Him, and the Lord is very, very faithful in answering my prayers. I have been very faithful to the Lord, so He's been really answering my prayers, and eventually He let me hear the sound of His voice. He let me know that He would confirm for me. I would continue to ask Him, is this me talking? Is this you talking? And He would confirm that it wasn't me. And a lot of times the way I would know is the answer that I would receive was something I wouldn't have told myself, or something I may not have necessarily agreed with.
Another question was, how long have you been married to me? The friends. God bless you, friends.
We've been married for 3 or 4 years. Lord Jesus, help me.
Somebody think it heard the married. Thank you for that one.
Whatever, you didn't know the last time somebody asked us.
Thank you for that one. Thank you for that one.
Sorry, Jesus. Going on 4 years. So yeah.
Yes. Get her in trouble, Jeanette. That's right. So look, serious, real talk. During the time that I was transitioning from and walking to my calling into where I'm at now, what type of what made you hold on and continue to endure with me during those times while I was in the world and practicing things of the world?
It was nothing but the love that I had for you and the fact that I wanted to see you delivered. That's all that would keep me, because it was not easy. It was very challenging, and there were many times that out of pain I wanted to throw in the towel, but my spirit wouldn't allow me to throw in the towel. The Lord permitted me to leave. He told me I didn't have to do it if I didn't want to do it. He told me I could go. He told me you were free. There had been adultery. There had been a lot of things. So He told me I was free, but I chose to stay, and He honored it.
So during those times that it takes strength, power of a praying wife, true, Apostle be well. So during those times, then there's been occasions that during our marriage, during this almost soon be 4 years of marriage, you left me and we separated. During those times of separation, what were you thinking, and what were you experiencing from the separation during the times?
More pain. It was hurtful to be with you, but also hurtful to be without, because I wanted us to be together. However, at the time, it wasn't necessarily safe for us to be together. I think you needed those times to grow and mature. And what was I feeling at the time? Just stress.
Stress.
Yeah.
What information would you have to, as far as the women that are on here now that are either married, that have been separated, or are separated now, to far as to encourage them as far as their relationship with God, and even with their relationship with their estranged husbands or husbands that they're with now?
I would, if you are separated and you want your marriage to work, that's the first encouraging piece I have, is that you need to be sure of what you want. I always knew I wanted my marriage to work. I always knew in my heart, in my soul, in my spirit, in my mind, in my body, that I wanted my marriage to work despite everything I had been through. And I knew it was going to take prayer without ceasing for that to happen. So the first thing I would say is you have to make up your mind about what you want, because God is not going to force you to be in anything where you're being hurt or abused or mistreated. He's not going to force you to stay in a situation like that. He gives us grace to get out of those situations. So I would definitely say the first thing would be know what you want to do. And once you decide what you want to do, you have to stick with that. You can't waver with God. You can't waver on your faith. Like if you're expecting God to change it, if you decide that you want your marriage, you have to be faithful in prayer. You have to be faithful and diligent in your prayers. You have to be very specific in your prayer life. I remember writing down pages of things that I wanted to see changed in my husband. Very, very, very detailed specific. And putting those things in order, giving priorities. The first three things that had to go for me were lust, anger, and drinking. Those were three things that were at the very top of my list that I felt like I cannot be with this man if these things are going to be a part of his life or our lives or our children's lives. So those would be my suggestions. That would be my encouragement. And I would definitely say that if you want your marriage, it can change and it can be fixed.
God bless you, Tracy.
Thank you, Tracy.
Before we got married, when you met, per se, the House of Representatives,
yeah.
How'd you feel after it'd be 29 years for me and my husband? Amen. Sister Jeanette. How'd you feel after the sunshine went away and you realized that you was in a relationship with a man that you felt dearly with, you loved, but those very still connected to the world?
I was hurt. Initially it started off as hurt and it grew into anger, because I felt like you were conscious. At times I felt like you were aware of what you were doing and taking advantage of my kindness and my grace toward you. And I felt like you didn't appreciate me. So it was hurtful, and then it turned into anger.
So what took you to get to the point where you had to get delivered and get healed from the anger that you was holding that basically kind of caused resentment and even bitterness? What could you say to other women that are experiencing these type of situations in their marriage or in their past marriages where they be able to heal as you did in order to get to where you are now so that they can get to that same place?
Number one, I think you have to really know yourself. You have to know your strengths and your weaknesses. I have friends right now that are in very, very troublesome marriages and have been. And I don't necessarily tell them to divorce. I don't tell them to leave, but I don't tell them to stay either, because some people can't handle some of the things that maybe me or some other people could. For example, I have a particular girlfriend. I know that if you did some of the things that
Become bitter in the relationship?
yes, I did, and I would not recommend that for anyone. It took a lot of it's freezing.
Come in and go out and come back in, Sister Jeanette. Go ahead and get finished to answer that question. If you got any questions, ask Julie. If you have any questions you'd like to ask, put them up also, and we answer them accordingly as we go on also. And yes. So the bitterness. At what point did you feel? How did you both come back together?
The Lord had to intervene. There was nothing else but the power of God that could bring us back together after all that we endured.
My wife has a forgiving spirit for the person. I think that was just Sean Jenkins just put that up. My wife has a forgiving spirit. And I also took advantage of that. I drug it in the ground. I took it through the muddy waters. I got blood out of that turnip. I pushed and I pushed and I pushed. And she used to confront me about situations or, things that I was experiencing with other women and whatnot. I would sit there and actually lie to her face to the point where I believed my own lies at that time.
Yes,
said,
denial.
Denial.
I'm just agreeing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I realized that I had insecurity issues with myself that I was very that I was to the point I didn't want to deal with, to the point where I had strongholds that had me bound, to the point that I didn't want to be delivered and I didn't want to be set free. So it kept me in a place of denial where I could not allow God to use me and to come into my heart, because I had a cold, stony heart. And I was very unforgiving. I was very cold-hearted. I didn't care about nothing, nobody or anybody but myself. Even when it came to kids, wife, anything, And I was raised like that, and that was just like you must have heard me time before. It's like it was a generational spirit, and something that I had dealt with. Because it took me a lot to even have respect for women on a lot of levels, because I always dated a lot of women, just constantly. That's what I was taught. So even when I had got with Tiana, cursed of iniquity, that's true, Fred. That was true, and it was a curse. And with that, I took advantage of the situation. I took advantage of the situation, and sounds like my husband, Deshaun. Even for him, even as far as your husband, when you're dealing with stuff like that, and a lot of times it's men that have callings on their life that's not ready to come to terms with the callings that God has called them, that God has called them to. They're not ready to fulfill the assignments that God has placed upon their life. They're running. They're like Jonas. Were your fathers there for you, either of you?
Ooh, no, no, they really weren't. This all starts early, and that's great that you brought that up, because that brings up a great point. I can recall leaving to go live with my father when I was about 19 years old. He invited me to come live with him. He lived up north, like in Massachusetts. That's where I was born, and I reconnected with him when I was 19, and he had an angry spirit, and I didn't know that he had done things to my mom when I was younger. And I'm thinking this was always the cool guy, and I connected with him at 19, and he put me out of his house in the cold. So when you have those type of things, growing up, my mom was very abusive. I would say she could definitely cause some traumatic experiences, and when you become used to that type of that treatment and behavior, thank you. When you get used to that type of treatment and behavior, it's almost like that's what you think is the norm. So I think that's part of the reason that I was so immune to some of the things my husband was doing, or that I was so tolerant of some of the things he was doing, because I had experienced them from mom and dad and other close, abandonment and rejection.
That is exactly right on both sides. Class, you said something about your husband is experiencing the same things, like right now, and a lot of that comes from basically growing up in broken homes. Like I grew up with mainly my mother, so by me growing up mainly with my mother, I to the point where I was very spoiled.
Ooh. Yeah, he had a condo to himself at age 16 and
15, really.
Okay, 15, and mom was out traveling the world, so there was a disconnection there as far as what he associated, with women, what women should do for him. At an early age, he was very spoiled. His mom had a lot of money, so he just grew up expecting women to take care of him, and that's what he had. Growing up, he I'm sure he's told you guys before he married a stripper and she took care of him, and that's what he grew to expect. He grew to expect people to
We put that question back up because that was a good question.
to take care of him.
Deal with him. But basically when I grew up, my mom, I never grew up actually with my mom. My dad was never even in the picture hardly. He was in the picture at a young age. They got divorced and it wasn't in it. And then my mom married a lot of men. My mom went through 6 marriages. So with that being said, and a lot of the men my mom with, I think like 3 out of this 6 tried to kill us. So I went through I seen a mom going through a lot of abuse, and I was always protecting my mom. And then I grew up with my aunts when I was in Texas, when I was born in Texas, before I even moved to Georgia. I moved to Georgia like in 88. God bless you, Sister Jazzy lady. And I stepped back to let God deal with my husband. Sometimes you have to, you got to step back from the situation. Mm-hmm. Me and Tiana, we separated 3 times. The first time, did you constantly talk to him or did you keep your distance so God could step in and deal with him?
Oh, I stepped away. I had to step away and allow God to work. I didn't constantly stay with him. We actually separated, lived in different households. Like I had to allow God to work.
Once you do step away from certain situations, it will only take the grace of God to bring you back. Answer if I don't know if I'm missing, but it only takes the grace of God to basically bring you back together and work the situation out. Because even when the last time that we separated, I was in my mindset that I was like, I'm done. I'm good. I'm really Gucci with the situation. I'm gonna move on. I'm just gonna be a freak elite. I was going to do everything Bryant wanted to do. I was going to go out there and relive my life and just, and during that time, the enemy beat me up so bad. It brought me so down to the point where I was on my knees. I really couldn't do nothing. And I thought everything that I wanted to go out there and think that the grass was green on the other side, which I realized the grass was not green on the other side. And, I really wanted my family back. And I felt hard-hearted. Is that the word? Is that a word?
Yeah, the hardened heart.
A hardened heart, basically, because I wasn't with my family. You have to pray for your spouse because God is the only one that can change someone or change you, and that is so true.
Amen.
It was so true. And during that time in that separation, I began to have a real, real cold heart. The only thing that brought me back to reality was my grandmother. When I went to go bury my granddad in Texas, and she had at the time she knew I was in ministry, and I backslid from ministry. I wasn't willing to put my hand to the plow anymore. Greetings. And I realized that like my grandmother said, I lost contact with my first love, which was Jesus Christ, my Lord and my Savior. And see, my wife, she always knew I had a calling on my life. For me to be able to walk in the office of prophet, we didn't really acknowledge that, but we knew the calling on my life was very major because I went through so many of those near like death experiences, even with her, to the point where she'd say time and time again that I was supposed to have been dead, and she's like, how much favor you have on your life to the point that you're still even living, because a lot of things that you experience, most people are not even walking around until today. How you know it's worth going back to him?
You don't know that it's you have to decide that for yourself if it's worth it. You have to decide that for yourself. You have to know the person you're dealing with. You have to know if they have a desire. One thing I can say is, even though he was out in the world, like just living a double life, he did have the Lord in his life. I mean, the Lord's hand was on him. I'll say that much. He was straddling the fence, living a double life, but he was always in church. He still went to church every week. He still read the word and knew the word like the back of his hand. So with that, it's like when somebody, it's almost like he had the desire, but he was just in darkness. It's like somebody had to snatch the rug off his eyes, snatch him out of darkness for him to realize that he was worthy of walking in the calling of God, because he was straddling the fence doing what people thought he should do. He's always been in the word. People thought he should be a preacher. People thought he should be a minister. And because he was like the black sheep in his family, he did it to make other people proud. He didn't really walk into being a minister because it's something he wanted to do. It's mainly because this is something he thought other people expected him to do, and he just wanted to fit in. So once that took place, he still didn't fit in because there were things that were going on in his heart that needed to be shifted. He needed deliverance. God called him, but he was running from the call. He wanted to still live the life that he wanted to live outside of what God was asking him to do. He didn't want to live uprightly. He just felt like, well, I can wear the collar. I can get up here and, minister, and, that should be good enough.
So I asked a question.
They didn't understand.
Did you ever get to the point where you feel like you didn't want to pray for me at times?
Yeah, I did at some times, but I couldn't stop praying. Like, my spirit wouldn't allow me to stop praying for him. There were times where I felt like I was tired. Like, what's the point of this? What is the point of me praying? Hi. Yeah, what is the point? He doesn't care. I felt like he's gonna do what he wants to do, but God, but God, that's all. It's just in my spirit. I just knew that one way or another, I knew that if it never worked out, if we never got back together, if God didn't answer my prayers, if God said, Tiana, you know what? I can change him, but this is not what I want for you. If God said that, I knew I would have to let go. And at times that hurt me, that I knew that was a possibility. That was a possibility that he was never going to change, or that, maybe God might just take his life because he just continued to be disobedient. However, we had children together, and I knew that regardless, for the sake of the children, I have to continue to pray for this man, whether our marriage makes it or not. And not only for the sake of the children, for his sake. Because I cared enough about him that I did want to see him walk into his calling, whether we were together or not.
When I began to walk in the calling, what took you actually to really believe it and say, okay, now he's walking the calling. He's not lying to kick it. He's not just faking a funk.
Discernment. I just knew the difference. I could see a major change. I could see there was genuine in your lifestyle change. That was what really let me know that deliverance had taken place, because you were no longer straddling the fence. There was no more, God just snatched it away. It was like, there's no more cigarettes. There's no more marijuana. There's no more alcohol. There's no more staying out till 4, 5, 6, 10 o'clock in the morning. All of that just got snatched away at once. So that's how I knew that deliverance had taken place, and it was consistent.
Did you ever really get to the point where you're saying, I'm dealing with so much. God, are you really going to deliver him? Should I still keep standing to this, to this call and standing up for this man and praying for this man and trying to have a life with this man? God, is this what you called me to go through? Because let it be told, me knowing you grew up with, kind of, you're a little bougie,
Whatever. You need to stop using these degrading and condescending words to describe your wife. I am not bougie. I just have selective taste. Don't get it twisted, because you guys, I will go to the vintage shop, the consignment store, the thrift store, or whatever else. I am not bougie.
I rescind that. I take that off the books. Mark, scratch that from the record. Off the record. Who do you describe me as far as biblically in the Bible? Who do you describe me as?
David, Paul, and those are two. And there was one more I used to, but those are definitely two. And yeah.
Why?
Well, your wilderness experiences and your strength. Those would be the reasons that I feel like those are two men that you can definitely relate to and identify with as far as your walk.
Paul, during the times when you realized, when I was out there in the world and I was doing things of the world, specifically cheating, what gave you that instinct to let God, is this right? Is this you talking to me about this, or this is my mind? This is my woman instinct, or is this the Holy Spirit speaking to me? How did you identify? How did you discern?
Oh, well, the thing about God is He'll reveal things to you. He gives us grace, like I said, and I'm the type of person where I'm observant. Like, I'll sit back for months before I say anything about anything that I observe in my natural state, and God will pull the rug back. He always ended up revealing it, whether it was through one of the children. Our 9-year-old came and told me one day that, some lady, our 9-year-old came and told me, Mommy, Daddy was in the car with this lady, and if I wasn't in the car, they would have kissed or something. So, Mommy, I think you just need to leave and don't come back, because Daddy is never going to change. God always revealed what was going on.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
And this is my daughter, too. My daughter biologically, and it wasn't hers. So, I got to the point also when I got so stuck in the strongholds to the point I didn't care, to the point that the women even that I was even messing with at the time, I would bring them. I think I got locked up one time.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
You want to tell
Not
me?
one time. You didn't get locked up one time. You got locked up several times. But are you referring to what are you referring to? Which situation?
Let's talk about the preacher.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Okay, first of all, this situation, the preacher that he was so called in relationship with while he was married to me, that was the most hurtful situation. I think the other situations where there was cheating, it was more like, okay, I can deal with the fact that there's I could handle that it was sex. With the preacher, it became more emotional attachment, and I was really, really, really hurt by that, because I just couldn't understand how I could put in so much, and be so loyal and faithful. And this lady, out of nowhere, she was beautiful. She was beautiful. She was attractive. She was super smart. And, you just pay attention. And I just thought she was amazing, but I had no idea why she would want to mess with my husband, because at the time he was hanging out in the streets. But it turned out that she was living a double life as well. And so that's where their connection was. She was a preacher and a reverend by day and on the school board by day. But at nighttime, she was out at the motorcycle club with him. Oh my gosh. And what about the time you got locked up? What about that?
Oh, I got locked up, and the thing was, she is strong. She did fight for me, and that's what really acknowledged me during the last time when we had separated. I realized that God had really chose this woman for me, and it took me a lot to go through a lot of selfish ways, a lot of experiences, and to the point where I really truly I nearly lost my life, to the point where I knew the enemy was trying to take me out, and God was basically punishing me, and it was the wrath of God that. Would you blame a wife who gave up on their husband and was not as emotionally strong as you?
No. I don't think a lot of people are probably nothing but God has kept me. Nothing but God has kept me. There were times I thought I was going to lose my mind. Most people are not emotionally strong enough to deal with those things, and I wouldn't even recommend it. I wouldn't recommend you stay in a situation long enough to the point where it affects your mental health. I would not recommend that to anyone. You have to know your own strengths, and if the Lord can preserve you, if He can restore you, and you can bounce back, great. Sometimes He gives us grace to do that, but sometimes He doesn't. And when He doesn't, I think those are warning signs that you just need to move on. No, I did not date while he was away. I wasn't my mind wasn't in a place to date. The type of things that we went through were so painful that those times that he was away out were very sad times for me, so I wasn't in a state to date.
The enemy told me she was out there doing her thing. I ain't gonna lie. I was hearing all type of spirits, like, you know, shit, they're doing that thing. So I ain't gonna lie, I had 2 or 3 or 4 women up in my bed doing things, and I was getting to it. I was really, for the latter years of the marriage of blessings, the wife is going in the seed, gifts are powerful. She stayed faithful. Yes, she did. You guys' marriage is surely your ministry, very much a testimony. Actually, it is. And that's why we're talking about it now, so other people that are going through as far as in their marriage can understand exactly what even I went through, and even as my wife went through. And that's how the enemy works. He does divide and conquer it. And I had realized that it was the enemy that was speaking to me, and I was allowing the enemy to listen to my will was listening to the enemy, and it basically destroyed my mindset, my thought. It gave me a cold heart. It kept pushing me further and further away from God, and it kept allowing me to take advantage of the favor and the calling and the grace that I had upon my life, because I had like unmerited grace and favor to the point where a lot of things, like I said earlier, that I experienced where a lot of people would have actually died, and that God kept me. He really truly kept me from the situation. And what I realized through this, about a praying wife and about being a wife, and you know, let's just say, go ahead.
Somebody said, what was the reason for cheating so much?
Generational curses, spirits. My father, I'm just gonna be real, so, you know, I even did a TV show about it, some things, you know, about my father was a real womanizer. Blessings. My father was strongholds, definitely, Sister Jeanette. It's the fact that my father, he taught me, and I idolized my father because I seen what my father did, and I realized that's how I wanted to be. That's how I wanted to treat women, you know. And I felt that way I would never be hurt. And if one woman didn't do what this one wouldn't, if this one woman could make me happy, I know I have another one that could. And this woman didn't want to do what I needed her to do for me, this next one will. And I would feel like it kept validation, but deep down it was just insecurity. It was insecurity, and it was a stronghold. It was a spirit. It's an insecurity spirit. It's a spirit of rejection, a spirit of abandonment. And it was generational. And it's exactly also, Sister Janae, it was perversion. I had a spiritual perversion that I just wanted many women I could have. And that's all I sought to have. And that was my best, it's based my goal. And I just realized it took me down the line that I knew I had to really actually go to deliverance, because I had a problem with lust, pornography, fornication, adultery, and it was all heavy on me, and to the point it had me all those spirits that had me bound. Now I was a strong man, had me bound. I was bound, and I was so much in denial of it. I wasn't willing to be delivered. You have to be wanting. You have to desire deliverance first and foremost. If you don't desire it, it will not come. Period. Point blank. If you don't desire that and you keep on entangling yourself in that same sin, God is not going to move on your behalf.
Amen.
He's just not. And that's something I had to come to terms with. I had to lose like all the women's numbers I had in my phone. Like I've said before, I had to lose like other like items and gifts and stuff that they've given me and stuff over the time. I had to realize that, you know, I had to repent and turn from my ways, and not just and see, some of us we'll say we want to be delivered and still hold on to certain things, still watch pornography, still watch filthy shows, still hold on to women's numbers who we had dealt with years ago, just in case something like might be happening in the future, just in case like type of situations. You have to, Sister Jeanette. And like you said, through prayer and fasting, I really realized, that I had to go through asking for, full deliverance, and really go to God with a broken heart to the point where I couldn't take anymore. I couldn't keep going through no more. And I didn't want to keep losing my kids and taking my kids through the turmoil that they was going through during the separation, because my kids were apart from me. It felt like my kids are also gifted prophetically and just spiritually.
Family did not help. No, they didn't.
And And they would recognize the spirits that were on me and the spirits that I was dealing with at the time. My kids would just look at me like in a look of like disgust, to the point where they could almost identify and discern the spirits the unclean spirits that were dealing with me, to the point where they didn't want to even deal with me. My own kids, even when they were babies, they would just look at me with strange faces and just distraught. It's like, they didn't want to be around me, and I tried to get them, they would cry. And that's how you tell that these spirits were actually dealing with me, and it would hurt me. It would really hurt me to a point where I realized some things had to change. And I didn't want to continue to hurt my wife. I got to a point where I realized, you know what? I've hurt her so much. I got to a point where I didn't think that a woman would be true to man. I never thought that a woman, I thought, pure point blank, can I be real? I feel that ain't no woman faithful. I didn't trust no women. My wife would tell you that. It took me, I couldn't trust. Pure point blank. She says she hasn't never cheated on me. I believe her. I believe her.
No. No, I have not ever cheated on this man.
So with that being said, and I did all the dirty work because I felt I had my guards in. I was dealing with abandonment.
Which one? I can tell you that my mom was never unfaithful. Not that I know of. I don't think that, oh, thank you. No, my mom was never the type to cheat. She was in relationships. My mom actually never married either, but the relationships that she was in, what happened?
No, go ahead.
Oh, the relationship she was in, she didn't cheat.
My mom cheated. My mom was a player. My mom
yeah,
and my dad
I already
was a
knew
player.
that about his mom, but I didn't want to say anything. I wanted him to be the bearer of bad news.
And what I realized through that, just me watching what my parents grew up with, and my mom going through so many marriages and stuff like that, I grew up willing to try to protect my own self, trying to protect my own feelings and my own emotions, and I basically put on a front to kick it.
Mm.
And you know what, Kim? Women need to know that God is able to do this impossible. Out of weakness, He is strong. Amen. What's the best advice that you would give to anybody that's prayer, that's waking? I missed that one, my manner.
My mama was faithful.
Say it about the prayer, about somebody being faithful. Put that one back up, please. Did you believe God would pull me through the situation, Tiana?
Yes. Okay, my husband did he continues to ask me if I believe God will pull him through the situation, as if he's not convinced that I was faithful in God to do this. My husband put us in some crazy situations. One time he gave me a car that had tag switched on it. I think the car didn't have tags or something. And we weren't together at the time, but I needed a vehicle. And I'm in the car, and I pull into this parking lot. I saw the police drive past. I'm thinking nothing of it. He took the car I had because it needed to be repaired. So we switched cars. The police drove past. I'm thinking nothing of it. They drove back past, nothing of it. I tried to leave the parking lot with my very small babies. I mean, they were really small babies. I'm leaving the parking lot, and the police just swarmed in on me, like 5 police cars just swarmed in on me with my babies in the car. And as me and the person, was a girl in the car with me that I was staying with at the time, to get out of the car with our hands up, and they drew guns on us. These are the type of things that I never in my life have gone through and never thought I would go through. And when my husband got to the scene, all he could say was, "You got my car towed." This was how gone he was. This was how crazy and cold-hearted he was at the time.
Other things you said other than prayer, counseling, that helps, communication, and you got to go through deliverance. Deliverance is key. And, other than prayer, fasting, and reading the word together. My baby girl will be on 1 in November. Our birthdays are in the same month. Okay. How many people are married on here now? But God, that's true, naturally do. You have to. You're at the point you want to give up and divorce. Have you heard from God about that? Have you heard from God? You cannot move before God. Anytime you think, even Brian thought that I was going to move before, before I heard from God about the situation. Cause I was putting matters in my own hands, but my grandmother brought me back to reality. She said, how many times has God forgiven you? You need to turn back to your first love. You need to basically get your mind right and understand that, God loves you and you have a calling upon your life. Go ahead and answer that if you want.
What is aggravating and stressful?
You said it's aggravating and stressful? Is that what?
Somebody said this is aggravating and stressful. Oh, his ways.
Oh, his ways.
Oh, yes. It is stressful. And that's why you have to turn to the Lord. If you want your marriage to work and you believe God is going to permit it to work, you have to find out from the Lord, will he change him for, will he better this man? Is he able to change him? Is he going to change him? You have to talk to the Lord and find that out so you're not wasting your time. But, if you want the marriage to work, God can do anything. I will tell you that he can fix anything. He's able.
You cannot leave before time and leave on your own recognizance and leave out of your own flesh, because what you would do is take that same issues and that same baggage into your next relationship to the point where you have not healed, you're still wounded, and you will still keep on holding on to that same baggage. You won't go through deliverance because you won't allow yourself to heal, because you will still be holding on to that resentment, the same old baggage, and those same old spirits that you're dealing with, and you won't allow yourself to heal. It's like having a scar or something, and you keep picking it up, picking at it, and it constantly still keep bleeding. And you will realize from that point, it'll keep traveling with you. You got, at some point, you women and men, you have to heal. You got to go through deliverance. Period, point blank. And even as women, and the thing sometimes, it's not always the men too. In my case, it's mainly me. Communication. Exactly. Fast deliverance and communication. Exactly.
They say that's what we should scope about or do a video about.
And we will. I realize this. Even some women are going around where they won't allow their men to be men, and to the point where they are trying to wear the pants of the relationship and trying to be the head of the household, and that's basically out of order. And a lot of men, and they buck and they rebel on situations like that because they don't know how any way to deal with it. And some end up being in abusive relationships, some end up being in like mental abusive relationships, and emotional and stuff like that, to the point where the women are trying to run things and the men don't know how to keep control of things, and that's how they lash out. That's what they do. And I felt a lot of times, even in our relationship, that Tiana had she's very mouthy. And Tiana would break me down intellectually, and cut me with her words. That's what I would say. That's exactly what I used to say. She would cut me with her words. And when a woman cut you with the words, for a man, I was like, I'm an ex-street thug, I'm used to the street, so I'm used to fighting and cussing and whatever that. But then she was used to, she's very intellectual, and she would usually basically, talk and cut people down and undermine.
You would think I was belittling you. That's what you used to think. However, let me just say this. I do use words. I have very choicy words. However, I didn't think I was trying to hurt him when I would speak. I was speaking the truth. Or what my version of the truth was. I was telling him how I felt from the core of my heart, and maybe sometimes it wasn't so nice and he didn't want to hear it. I wasn't swearing at him. It was just me telling him the cold-hearted, honest truth. Maybe the word choices were words that he felt were cutthroat, because they were
fighting words. Don't fight words.
But what my point is that I would share those things with him because that's how I felt from my heart, At the time, if I was hurt, I would express the hurt.
Very manipulative. Very manipulative. See, my wife has a way with words. She look at me in that tone of voice.
Because manipulation means you're doing something on purpose. Like that's how you manipulate somebody, when it's intentional. When you're speaking and it's not with intent, then it's not manipulation. Like when you're speaking and it hurts, but it's not with intention, then that's not manipulation.
And see, what I allowed the enemy do to confuse me and to say that, it's very intimidating. Very intimidating. There it is. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, but I can't help that. That's just me speaking the way I speak, and he didn't know how to respond to it.
Amen, generation. So realizing this, I realized what God was doing to me, to the point where, you know what? I say, when she cut me with her words, I say, you know what? I will cut physical wise. I will go out and sleep with women. I will call women. I would date other women. I go to other women's houses. When she want to cook, okay, she want to go home, I do these things. Like I sit out on the motorcycle, I come home at 10 o'clock the next morning. These are the things I did to pity pat my ego, to pity pat my pride. I was dealing with a major Leviathan spirit, to the point where it took over me. It controlled me. It controlled my every move. All my members were controlled by Leviathan, to the point where it was prideful. Like, if you don't want to do it, the next woman will. Period, point blank. Married to me and all. Got kids and all. You ain't going nowhere. I looked at it too. It's like, I'm the breadwinner. You ain't got nowhere. Where you gonna go? Who gonna take care of you? You got kids. You got babies now. What they gonna do with you? Even though she's a beautiful woman.
Yep, the devil gave you suggestions.
And it does always start in the mind. Pride will destroy a relationship, for sure. You're right, Brother Felix. And I was very prideful. And I think even Tiana had a certain level of pride too, because she had a certain level of esteem, because she never went through things like that in her life. She never been with nobody that got locked up. She never even dealt with police. She never been in a fight in her life. But you turn to somebody that's been locked up in prison 3 times. I've been in and out of county jail 40 times. I've been shot. I didn't shot people. I sold dope. Just very thug mentality minded, I grew up with the silver spoon in my mouth, because I had everything I wanted for, like she sold you. I had my own house at age of 15, my own car at 15, and I had things I didn't really need for in life, and I felt that women are supposed to take care of me, because mostly, in the majority of my life, if you think back about it, women took care of me in my life anyway, through my aunts and my mother.
And grandma.
And grandmas, all that. And see, because I always grew up with a broken home, so I never had a man in my life. And when I did finally get with my dad, it was like in my senior year. And then that's the point where I see him manipulating and being and using his womanizing ways to get the things he wanted in life. And I thought that I was like, man, I idolized that. I idolized that. Me too. Me too. You know what? And I really understood that, because you know what? Even operating in the prophetic. And my wife would see things like this. Brother Felix, I can tell you like this, man. It'd be times like, women be out there in the street, and that, for instance, it was a baseball coach. My 9-year-old daughter's baseball coach. It was a country like hillbilly like lady, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I didn't think she wanted to deal with me. My wife's like, I don't like her for some reason. I don't like her. But as soon as we split up, that woman was right over me. She was in my bed. Straight up. And I didn't see this coming, but there was like the gift that was working in my wife. She used to see all the women like, something about her. I don't like her. I don't like her. And those certain women she didn't like, she had a funny feeling about. Those certain women, those same ones I probably denied at the point I was in denial with, I ended up sleeping with. She does too, Felix.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah,
she does too.
I had a horrible dream just within the last 72 hours, and I didn't even speak it, because I don't.
And that's why I had to basically talk to my wife about, even now, about, I'm sold out for God, you all. Period, point blank. It's not nothing I play with. It's not nothing I just get on here in Periscope and just talk about. If I'm dirt, I'm dirt. I wouldn't even play with God like that. You really have to understand and know my heart and what I've been through. So for my wife even to say what it's like, I was like, are you cheating on me? And I was like, no. No, ain't no way, because I would not nullify the anointing that God has placed over my life now, because I've been through too much, man. I've been through too much.
What did you dream? Somebody asked, how did I get over your cheating?
Oh, man.
I don't know. The power of the Holy Spirit. That's all. It just came to a point where when God delivered him from so many things at the same time, when he delivered him from so many things at the same time, I tossed it all out the window. Not to say that I never had thoughts about, because the deliverance was, it wasn't all complete. He delivered him from major things, but there were still things lingering. There was still a residue that remained that he had to continue to be delivered from. And I still know there's things, I still know there's things that we're continuing to heal from. Like, we are not totally repaired and restored. This is a process. And from what I know, it's probably going to be a lifelong process. The marriage will just continue to grow and get stronger. But as far as me getting over the cheating, it's because I knew that God had done the delivering.
And it took for Bryant to get to the point where, like I said earlier, I had to delete every woman number's phone I had in my we do. And that's why I'm writing a book now, as far as the enemy wants the head. In parentheses, I have the man. Because if you fight, just the things that I experienced.
No, I did not grow up in a traditional home. I grew up in a single parent home. My mother raised me majority of my life.
And being with a woman like Tiana, I have to be very honest with you. I was like, you know what? I had the best of both worlds, because I had a Caucasian woman fetish. And I had, because I felt that, Caucasian women would do anything, whatever that you want them to do. And I had I'm gonna say it like this. Can we be playing? Because I'm just gonna say it like I am. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna bite my tongue, because I just don't. I had a black girl, white girl in a black girl body, basically. And I got to the point where
time up. That's it. Over. Oh gosh.